In our life, we always get what we tolerate, right? So I'm going to repeat this once again because it's super important even for myself. We get what we tolerate, right? I don't want to play devil's advocate here, but we all have something that we maybe we're not in fond of in our life, we're not super fans of, but we still tolerate this. For example, in my business experience working with investors from Genesis, one of the biggest IT companies in Ukraine. So I built a business, I built a startup, and we were working with investors from Genesis, right? And I actually I tolerated everything that transpired there. A lot of things that I didn't like. I didn't like how they talked to us. I didn't like what like we were supposed to do in terms of management, right? It wasn't me, right? I tolerated this kind of attitude, and as a result, I pretty much burned out. I got a massive mental health issues. I started using drugs, right? I did have a lot of money, but I was mentally freaking drained. I was mentally freaking exhausted, right? So I got what I tolerated. Think about maybe people in your life who you tolerate, who you maybe should have a open conversation, a blunt, maybe difficult conversation, saying, "Hey, enough is enough." Maybe your boss, maybe some of your colleagues. There's always this law that we always get what we tolerate, and the more people tolerate something, the more they kind of become complacent, right? They start thinking that, hey, that's how it's supposed to be, and I can't do anything. And this is where people start judging others. When you hear people judging others, you can always predict that this person hasn't achieved a lot in his life or her life. So when you're in presence of someone laying judgment or criticizing others, you know that they are not successful, because successful people are not pointing fingers. Successful people are not looking for someone who's guilty for their flaws. They're looking inside. They're looking into themselves and think, "Hey, where did I fuck up?" Or how can this failure make me freaking stronger? This is the mindset of successful people. And you don't have to be a jerk for it. Don't get me wrong. Because I for one, really, at some period, like of my uh, like psychological growth, I felt like if you are mentally strong, then you are a jerk. It's not the case at all. Mentally strong people could be the nicest, most beautiful, and kind people in the world, but they're just mentally strong. And this is my aspiration, to become a mentally strong person who's kind, who's compassionate. But at the same time, if someone's going over the line, if someone's actually in my lane, if someone's going over, like, just violating my borders, because I'm going to step up and I'm going to say something. And the same thing applies to our life. When the environment, the surrounding world is just violating our own borders, this is I think this is a high time to think if we're where we want to be, and if maybe there is, and maybe it's time to change something, right?